Oh, Marvel, you've been floundering for what seems like years now. It's why so much seems to be riding on Fantastic Four to not necessarily be successful, but at minimum be good. That would at least be a start. When 19 of your first 22 movies gross more than $500 million, but over half of your next 13 films failed to do that, you might have a problem on your hands. Maybe you even contemplate hitting the panic button. Well, that's what Disney and Marvel decided to do when bomb after bomb could no longer be ignored. That panic button is what's led us to this Fantastic Four reboot, and more specifically, me saying,
Wow, that is delicious. Finally. Some good fucking food.
Yes, indeed. I'm pleased to say Fantastic Four First Steps is an actual good movie in the MCU. For the first time in over a year. I know, everyone gets really suspicious nowadays whenever someone says an MCU movie's good. Our victories as fans have become few and far between, but we do have a winner. The Fantastic Four can now rightly join Iron Man, Cap, Thor, and others as solid initial entries in the MCU. And for Marvel's first family, it's been a long time coming. Set in the retro-futuristic 1960s era of Earth 828, and free of the shackles of continuity, this version of the Fantastic Four skips the origins and dives right into their misadventures. Just like the other movies mentioned, this one has a strong start, with enjoyable characters built on the backbone of great casting. Even though some of said characters are lacking in depth, and the third act is a wee bit of a clusterfuck when you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it joins the club, I guess. The MCU started with a movie that had a shitty third act.
They ripped out my targeting system.
Just like the original Iron Man, though, this film is ultimately saved by that aforementioned great casting. Pedro Pascal, even though this dude is fucking everywhere.
You want to see a Pedro Pascal movie? You want to see a Pedro Pascal movie? Or do you want to see a Pedro Pascal movie?
Has to be handed his flowers, which I'm sure he'd just adore. He fills the role of Reed Richards as well as anyone you could imagine. As the new face of the MCU, he doesn't have the over-the-top charisma of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Instead, Reed is softer, quieter, befitting of Pedro's self-proclaimed effeminate style of masculinity. I joke, but the guy is really good. Vanessa Kirby is also a stellar Sue Storm. She was my personal fan casting, so, I did a great job. You're welcome. She's the exact opposite of Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. And speaking of her, I wonder what she's up to nowadays.
I got a stinky ass cooter and a booty that rips, with a gay little lady just licking my shit.
I think the best thing to do is first go over the story of First Steps in super duper mega spoiler fashion, so be warned. Then we can get into what works, what needs work, and where the MCU goes from here.
Fantastic Four First Steps. Spoilers ahead. Spoilers.
We start our story somewhere else, some other Earth, in some other universe, a different yet familiar place that's devoid of the dense main MCU timeline. On this Earth, our mustachioed lead Reed Richards and his wife Sue are getting ready for dinner, when Sue tells him she's not just a superhero, but she's super duper pregnant. Reed's a good dude and serenades his woman.
I love you, bitch. I ain't gonna never stop loving you, bitch.
We then get the big introduction to the Fantastic Four as a team, going through a speed run of their biggest moments over the first 4 years of their existence. Yes, that's right, where the Batman was Bruce's year 2, James Gunn's Superman by James Gunn was year 3 for Clark, this is year 4 for the Fantastic Four. Never say Hollywood doesn't follow trends. We quickly learn that they were scientists and astronauts who went into space, got hit by some cosmic rays, and came back all fucked up and superhero-y. This film says, hey, you know what a superhero is. It moves right along. Back to Reed and Sue joining the team for dinner, Ben quickly figures out that Sue's pregnant, leading to a celebration. Not much later, Reed shows Johnny his teleportation device while they try to decipher a broadcast signal they've gotten from outer space, leading Reed to pose the age-old question.
What the fuck?
They don't have to wait long for an answer though, because some smoky spooky shit appears in the sky a few months later, spewing out a silver chick on a surfboard calling herself the Herald of Galactus, Eater of Worlds. Yes, that's right, something's coming to destroy Earth, and little do they know he plans to eat the fucking planet faster than James Corden and a grilled cheese. The clearly closeted Johnny tepidly says that he's attracted to the female surfer. Sure, buddy. I totally believe you. Anyway, the team makes a public announcement that they plan to protect Earth and fly into space to meet Galactus and hash out their problems. Reed tracks Galactus to a distant planet, but when they arrive, it's being completely obliterated, and not just destroyed, but consumed by a giant sci-fi vacuum cleaner, run by Space Karen himself, Galactus. Lady Surfer sees them floating around scared shitless, so she brings them down to meet him, just like they wanted to do anyway. Galactus senses that Franklin, Sue's baby, has the power cosmic, meaning he could take his place and free Galactus from his hunger. He offers to spare Earth if they give him the baby, but they refuse, causing a giant chase across space and time with Silver Surfer in hot pursuit, until they trap her in the gravitational pull of a black hole long enough for them to escape. As they're spiraling towards Earth, Sue gives birth to baby Franklin in one of the best emotionally impactful scenes of the entire film, and they're immediately shot back down to reality once they return to Earth, when they realize people aren't terribly happy the four of them had a chance to save the planet but refused. Yes, people are mighty upset with the Fantastic Four, because they wouldn't give up little baby Frankie to spare Earth. So Reed goes into overdrive, trying to figure out how to save everyone, taking the edge off with a smooth string cheese. The pressure gets to Reed, who doesn't necessarily consider it, but does float the idea of giving up Franklin for the safety of Earth, when he acknowledges their demands are rational. That's enough to send Sue into a fucking tailspin, and since Reed's played by Pedro Pascal, he gives her the old effeminate yelp.
Answer me, motherfucker!
Sue heads outside the Baxter building to rally everyone with a rousing speech, concluding that while she won't give up her baby to save the Earth, she won't give up the Earth to save her baby, and gives that oft-repeated phrase in this movie, they're all family.
There's always room for family.
We're family.
I know you guys are a family. Make that family whole again.
You want to make this family whole again?
You don't turn your back on family.
This gives Reed the big brain idea to use a large-scale version of his teleportation device to move the Earth. Oof, we're getting a little ridiculous here. His plan is to move the Earth to another universe and hide from Galactus where he won't be able to find them for millions of years. The whole world unites in building Reed's teleportation bridges, from Japan to Antarctica to New York. As soon as it goes into play though, Silver Surfer arrives like Dale and Brennan.
We're here to fuck shit up.
Smashing several devices and ruining their plan. She's there to capture Franklin, but Johnny's deciphered the messages that came months prior. They are messages from her home planet, reminding her how long she's been a slave to Galactus, and she flies off, disgusted with herself. Johnny's saved the baby for now, but Galactus is coming.
Oh, I'm gonna come.
So they finally decide to use little baby Frankie as bait. Reed, with that big brain of his, comes up with the smartest plan ever. The old switcheroo. They set Franklin on a functioning teleportation bridge, and when Galactus approaches, they'll switch him out real quick when he's not looking. That's the big fucking plan. Anyway, surprise, the switcheroo doesn't fucking work because it's dumb, and Galactus doesn't fucking fall for it. He snags Franklin and is gonna take off with him when Mama Sue goes full Raiden.
I don't think so.
Ben and Johnny turn the machine on, Reed snags baby Frankie, and Sue pushes Galactus into the bridge, dying for her troubles. Yes, the movie goes full Avengers and Tony Stark sacrifice. Cause you like the Avengers, right? Well, you'll like this. Old Space Karen comes out for one more jump scare, but Silver Surfer's here for her little redemption arc, and smashes the purple bitch into the bridge, sacrificing herself as they disappear into the void. Reed lays Franklin on his dead mother's chest, but because Franklin's insanely powerful, he's somehow able to bring his mother back to life. What a badass. Anyway, the post-credit scene is a brief appearance of Dr. Doom in the Baxter building, and that's it. That's the fucking movie. You know the first thing I thought of after I left the theater? Well, to be honest, the first thing was that it was a pretty feel-good movie, which was their intention, so they stuck the landing. And the second thing I thought was, we were lied to. A lot of the marketing and media behind this movie made it seem like Marvel and Disney hadn't learned their lessons in the slightest over the last few years. Actors gave interviews stating that certain characters, meaning Sue, would be the real leader of the team, that we'd be essentially getting another Marvel Mary Sue situation or girl boss narrative, but not at all. This is just a damn good, straightforward film with great heart and chemistry. Is it dumb at times? Absolutely, but I've said time and time again since I started this channel, heart makes up for a lot of goofy writing choices. Squashed is the worry that Reed wouldn't be the leader of the team. He absolutely is, and not only that, it's been announced that he'll be the leader of the Avengers once Doomsday rolls around. Thank the fucking Lord, a proper MCU hero leading the team, instead of some lame-ass C-level hero no one cares about. You know, maybe Kevin Feige is just fucking with all us YouTubers. Come on now, Kevin.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
In all seriousness, if it is misdirection, keep it up. I'll take it as long as the end result is a good product. Another thing you'll notice immediately when the movie starts up is that it's having an affair with the early years of the Fantastic Four comic books. Truly, this is a love letter to that era, with a number of callbacks and set pieces that are ripped straight from the comic book pages. The opening montage has the team take an assortment of villains ranging from Mole Man to Giganto, and adding the wildly retro 60s vibe and general aesthetic of the movie. It's like Jack Kirby's drawings were brought to life. The Fab Four also visit space for quite a while in this one, and the Fantastic Four was always a little wacky and weird at its 60s best, and honestly still is to this day. The movie doesn't disappoint in bringing that to life. And while everyone's mileage may vary on how cartoony they like their comic book movies, this one strikes a genuine solid middle ground in tone. The movie is also, thankfully, free of the chains of the MCU's continuity, which was already a complete and utter mess to begin with. The Marvel Cinematic Universe spans over 30 movies and a dozen TV shows, totaling 43 titles and counting. Even before the TV shows were a thing, the MCU was already getting bloated and heavy on canon, with movies trying to make sure they fit into every expanding and interconnected Marvel timeline. Add in the TV shows and you have an absolute clusterfuck. I thought Kevin Feige said we wouldn't have to watch the shows for the movies to make sense. There he goes again.
Why the fuck you lying?
For the first time since the original Iron Man, you can forget all that. There's no homework to do, nothing to see here beforehand or MCU pamphlets to look through. You can just walk right into this movie and enjoy it, free of that continuity burden. The Fantastic Four, and vicariously us, are free of the origin tale as well. Like almost every superhero on the big screen in the last few decades, we've seen all of their origins adapted, usually more than once. The Fantastic Four are no exception, with 20th Century Fox releasing 2 different iterations of the fledgling team, and both times they chronicled how they got their powers and became the super squad they are. The era of superheroes in cinema has gone through different eras, and the Fantastic Four were originally adapted by Fox at a time when it felt like origins had to be told. Now we're in the post-origin era. Superhero films are getting the reboot, but we've already been there. We're into the 3rd or 4th reboot at this point. Studios are aware, the audience is aware. We've already seen Batman's parents die like 80 fucking times. So WB skipped it to Batman's Year 2 and Matt Reeves' The Batman. And we find out his past through context clues and plot twists. And in James Gunn's Superman by James Gunn, we jump to Year 3 with nothing but some opening text to clue you in on Blue's adventures. And here with First Steps, we get that sweet, sweet opening montage. Oh, I didn't forget, but the less we say about the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, the better. Although I've seen it, and honestly, it's a fun dumpster fire. Corman's Fantastic Four is funny, but not in that Marvel humor sort of way. And thankfully, neither is First Steps. Yes, I'm happy to report that First Steps is also the first fucking steps away from that shitty brand of dated humor that's plagued Marvel movies for way too long. Comedy is subjective, yada yada yada, I don't give a shit. It got old. The thing about comedy is it's like a time capsule. Styles change, topics change. So what worked with Joss Whedon's funny name-calling little quips in 2012's Avengers doesn't work anymore in 2025. First Steps takes the DARE program seriously and just says no to the shitty, quippy, hits like a wet blanket humor that Marvel infected us with for 15 years. I really think it's finally over. Good fucking riddance. The thing is, First Steps isn't devoid of laughter. It's just actually appropriate and ingrained in character moments, instead of people stopping for a quip. When Franklin is born, it's not undercut by some shitty joke. It's allowed to breathe, and winds up being one of the best parts of the film. Pascal as Richards is phenomenal in that moment when he sees his son born, fighting back tears while acknowledging the joy with his family. I really do need to give Pascal credit. I like him as Reed Richards. He's believable as a leader, and as the smartest man alive. That is, until he does some dumb switcheroo shit as his big brain idea, but you know, whatever. I honestly take a Pedro Pascal casting as the safest bet in Hollywood right now. The guy brings a standard level of quality no matter what role he's playing, so he's basically Mr. Reliable, and I won't mind seeing him lead the Avengers moving forward. If he doesn't get erased in the new timeline, but you know, that'd just be crazy. My only gripe with the Pascal casting is his age. He's 50 years old already, yet he's going to be the leader of the franchise for the next 10 to 15 years. Okay, I guess. That's why I'm saying maybe this is for a limited time. Also, a wise move keeping the mustache on him. Remember when they removed it in Wonder Woman 1984? Yeah, me too. His career would be a tenth of what it is if it wasn't for that stash. Reed's counterpart Sue is played by the aforementioned Vanessa Kirby, who was my dream cast for the role, and she doesn't disappoint here at all. Kirby lets Sue be the heart and soul of the group. She brings the matriarchal nurturing they all need, while Reed's busy being the head of the snake, figuring out the impossible. When Sue confronts Galactus at the end of the film, she's at the end of her rope. It comes off that she's aware it might kill her to use her powers, but he has her son, and she's going to stop at nothing to get him back. Kirby does a phenomenal job portraying a mother's struggle to keep her son safe against unrelenting odds, and it's surely relatable even on a grand sci-fi scale like The Invisible Woman and her kid. As an anecdote, that was really cool to see when I went to the theater. Families were attending the movie, not just us late 30s fanboys. If Marvel was looking to keep creating a new generation of fans with a family-friendly film, they may have struck a chord. Underneath a shit ton of CGI and motion capture technology is Eben Moss Bacharach, the man playing Ben Grimm aka The Thing. And you know what? Ben barely gets a thing to do in this fucking movie. What little we do get is him meeting a nice school teacher and then meeting up with her again later. It's literally 45 seconds of screen time total. That's the most of Ben's entire arc in the movie. I hate to say it, but the previous films, and therefore the origin story, actually serves Ben Grimm well. In First Steps, we meet Ben at year 4 of being in the FF, so he's seemingly beyond the whole body horror, holy fuck, I'm a giant rock guy thing. He's even past the whole scaring people on the streets thing. Ben's an incredibly sympathetic character when written right, and they decided to just not write him at all here. Speaking of not at all, I swear to God, Johnny Storm does not exist. This is a Johnny Storm skin suit. Chris Evans' cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine was more Johnny Storm than this. They've neutered Mr. Storm for the modern audience, that's for certain. While the Johnny Storm you remembered in your head, the Chris Evans one, who was a ladies' man, an annoying prankster, and just a buffoon, could have been toned down a bit, but here he's just whatever. A nothing burger. I think Joseph Quinn does what he can with what he has, but he's definitely not given much. They easily could have portrayed Johnny as a ladies' man or something in the opening montage, but Quinn himself said they decided to eliminate that part of his character. In First Steps, you hear Johnny likes girls, but you never see it besides his couple run-ins with the Silver Surfer. I swear that this version of the character was meant to be gay. I mean, look at this. He's more Ezra Miller flamboyant than Robert Downey joke slinger. The two don't even get proper interactions with each other. The older films really built up their friendship and the tension that's created because of Johnny's antics, but here they just kind of get along, like really, really well. I understand they're a family, but families have tension. It's mild banter at most between these two. Johnny at least gets some things to do with the subplot involving the translation of Surfer's language, so he gets more overall, but with a lot less character. The film's far busier with vibes and building up Sue and Reed than it is with Ben and Johnny, which is too bad. They're fantastic characters, and it seems like they picked the right actors to play them. Maybe they'll actually get a chance to show their chops in the future. And what about Galactus and Silver Surfer? Did the Silver Surf her ruin it at all? Well, the answer is no. It didn't. The script never makes it matter, and this isn't the Prime Universe after all, so it makes sense that some things are changed. If you're going to find an excuse to alter a thing or two, an alternate universe is one of them. But there was rightful worry it would be injected with identity politics in either script or marketing. Thankfully, neither happened. The character is simply who she is, and quite frankly, she's underdeveloped. She's much more of a presence or force of nature than an actual character, which is fine and in a lot of ways badass and shit. She gets a bigger arc than Ben could ever dream of getting in this movie. And Galactus is pretty awesome for the most part until the very end, when he kind of just becomes a kaiju that everyone needs to fight. He's a world eater, something that's smaller than a celestial, but to be feared at the same level. So it's kind of a clear message the third act was chopped up a bit when he's taken down Power Rangers style. Surfer and Galactus are both brought to you thanks to some flip-floppy CGI. At moments it's spectacular, at other times it's the usual Marvel mess. I don't think they're ever gonna make Reed's stretch abilities look cool, but they definitely nailed the Thing for the first time ever. And Johnny Storm looks good when he's full flame on. I feel like at this point the best of CGI is behind us. Studios are pushed to their limits. it's overworked and it's just not going to get any better. The fact they even decided to push back Avengers Doomsday by 6 months is a miracle. Speaking of Doomsday, where do we go from here exactly? Doomsday is next, followed swiftly by Secret Wars, and according to Kevin Feige, a full-on MCU reboot. Is this the start of it? Is this more than first steps for the FF, but first steps for the next version of the MCU? Hopefully one that's stricken of all this baggage and bullshit. I'd take this Reed Richards hamming it up with a shiny new version of Captain America, Iron Man, and Black Panther, and I mean the real Black Panther. Or is this 50-year-old Pedro Pascal version of Reed destined to be rebooted too? Is everyone going to be eliminated from the MCU timeline after Secret Wars with an all-new cast across the board? Only time will tell. Before I go, I just want to thank everyone over on Patreon who's been supporting me. We're having a blast over on Patreon with new exclusive reviews and videos dropping every week that aren't available here, so if you're interested, make sure to check it out. I was worried the Fantastic Four would be for the modern audience, but in the end, it turns out it's for everyone, and who can argue with that? GG's.